Welcome everyone to Comics from the Multiverse. This is episode 318. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Matt.
Hey, what's up?
Connor, once again, sadly, could not make it.
Who's Connor?
He's too busy practicing his synchronized swimming for the next Olympics, I guess.
Sure.
But yes, we are here though. We are going to talk about DC Comics. It's a DC Comics podcast. We get together, we talk about the books we read this week. Coming up on this week's show, we've got Dark Crisis, World Without a Justice League, Green Lantern issue 1. It's a bit of a mouthful. We have Superman Son of Kal-El issue 14, Wonder Woman 790, Batgirls issue 9, Naomi season 2 issue 6, DCeased, War of the Undead Gods issue 1, and Jurassic League issue 4. So, reasonable amount of books, some interesting stuff in there. Although it's notable that this was the week last month that was the big sort of depressing, disappointing week.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know if you recall
More on
that.
later.
Yeah. Oh, Matt's got some space for later. So we'll see how this week fares in comparison, and we'll get into the books. We also have a couple of little bits of news to mention, and but you know, Matt, what are those Space Girls like once again?
What? What about Space Girls? Give me what you want, what you really, really want.
A ComiXology
No?
top 10.
But that's a lie, 'cause that's not what I want. Not what I really, really want.
It is what you want, what you really, really want.
No.
I know it is. Positive of it. So yes, ComiXology top 10 at the time of recording. Number 1 is a Marvel book, Matt.
Is it the new big crossover?
I believe so. Is Axe Judgment Day
Yeah.
issue 1, I guess?
That's no, issue 2.
Issue 2, okay. It's cut off, so without clicking on it, I couldn't see what the number was, but
It's number 2.
yeah. But yeah, luckily DC does swoop in right after that, though. Any idea what the top selling DC book is?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say DCeased.
It is DCeased, War of the Undead Gods. That is coming at number 2, and then Worlds Without a Justice League Green Lantern comes in at number 3. So a couple of DC books there. Back over to Marvel with Amazing Spider-Man issue 7 at number 4.
That was gonna be my first or my second guess if Judgment Day wasn't number 1.
Yeah, so I can tell from the cover that John Romita Jr.'s still
Yeah.
still in that book.
Yep. That's a fact.
Yeah, hard to want to read it with that that fact. But number 5 is Superman Son of Kal-El issue 14, and then we have number 6, which is Power Rangers issue 22.
Hey.
Yeah, they're doing well right now. I don't even know which one this is, because there's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, there's Mighty Morphin, and I guess this is a third book. I didn't realize they had a third ongoing that was up to issue 22 already. Interesting.
What kind of Rangers are these on the cover?
Yeah, they don't look Mighty Morphin-esque, do they? They look different.
They look Masked Rider-esque.
Oh, that's a bold thing.
Yeah.
So, yep. Oh no, I closed the wrong tab now. Come on.
So yeah, so Mighty Morphin and I guess Power Rangers are they the same book? Because it says to be continued in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 100. This is listed as Legacy 99. So I don't know. It's good to know that it's not just the big two that are playing with their numbers.
Well, there's a book called Mighty Morphin, and and the book Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was going for ages, so that's the one that's hitting 100. I don't know if they just retitled that to Power Rangers for a bit, and that's what this is. Maybe,
because it says continued from Mighty Morphin 22, continued in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 100.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This is Legacy 99 though, so
that makes sense.
Yeah. So is there only 2 books, or is there 3 books?
Well, it's 2 books, but it sounds like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers got renamed to Power Rangers and put back to number 1 around issue 79, and this is issue 99 overall, and it's gone back to the original numbering with issue 100. That's what this sounds like to me.
It's a lot.
I didn't realize it had gotten so convoluted. But there you go. Number 7 is Fence Rise. This is volume 5 of this book.
Don't know what that is.
I have no idea what this is either. What is this? Joanna the Mad is the artist, and C.S. Picat is the writer.
I don't even. It's not even coming up over on my list. It's way down.
It's a Boom book.
Okay.
Interesting. Oh, there you go. So, yeah, that was nice to see an oddity sneak in into the top 10. And then we have number 8 is Avengers issue 59. That's still Jason Aaron going strong. Number 9 is Predator issue 1. Marvel finally put out a Predator book. Ed Brisson being the writer on this one.
Well, that's interesting.
I mean, it's obviously timed very well because the new movie just came out. But
yeah.
And then number 10 is 8 Billion Genies issue 4. And this is a Charles Soule book, which is probably why it's doing me.
Yeah, apparently it's already been optioned for something. So good for Soule.
Yeah, I mean, that's not even that irregular anymore. There's so many, like, when we do the TV news, there's so many like stories in the week where it's like, oh, this is a book that's not coming out till next year, and it's already optioned for adaptation.
I just mentioned it because I remember Charles Soule talking about how wild it is that it's only at issue 4. At this time it was issue 3. And he's already having production meetings as the creator. So that's pretty wild.
Yeah, I looked at it a little bit further down for more DC stuff. Urban Legends came in at number 13, number 15, Wonder Woman, and then number 18 is Batgirls. So yeah, they're kind of sprinkled throughout the rest of the top 20. Jurassic League just missing that. That's number 21. But yeah, so it's not too bad. But you got 3 books in the top 10. It's not a disaster speak by any means. But not a particularly standout one either. So, there you go. That's your ComiXology top 10. Matt's favorite segment on the show.
Yep.
Then, now, forever.
No.
Yes. We do have a couple of bits of actual comic book news. There's maybe a little bit of movie stuff that I'll mention, but there's actual comic book news. And they're both just sort of early things for November. One that there's going to be a Green Lantern one shot in November called John Stewart, The Emerald Knight, issue 1. And it's basically to kind of wrap up the Green Lantern series, which I didn't even realize stopped coming out. Apparently, its last issue was in April. And it left in a cliffhanger. So apparently this one shot, which is 48 pages, is going to kind of wrap that up and lead into... Because it seems to be set before Justice League 75. So it's sort of like after that run, but before the death of the Justice League. So it feels like it's just like a one shot to tie up some loose ends and give it a proper ending, seemingly.
That's good.
You know, obviously we dropped that book, so we're not going to be checking this out. But
as someone that likes closure in comics, it's good that that they're letting them finish that.
And then the other bit of news we got for November, which will make you happy, is the Poison Ivy book, which was meant to be 6 issues, is now been extended to 12 issues because it would have ended in November. And instead, it is now going to go beyond. And it says there's even a chance that it might even get extended further after issue 12 should success keep going.
Oh, good.
So, I mean, yeah, there you go. Also, I love that the image that Newsarama used for this article is Poison Ivy wearing a shirt that says "Shill Baby Shill."
Yep.
Which feels right.
Yeah.
Feels right. So, yeah, so you're getting at least 12 issues of Poison Ivy now, possibly more. I mean, I imagine that just with the variants, it probably sells a lot of copies to the same people. So, maybe it'll keep on trucking. But yeah, those were the 2 sort of quick bits of actual comic book news that I found in my travels.
Yeah, it's weird being a Poison Ivy fan and knowing there's other Poison Ivy fans out there. Like, I've known, but now it's actually, you're noticing when the book's selling pretty well.
Yeah, those perverts out there, I agree. Yeah.
Hey, okay, whatever.
Are you saying that's not a driving factor here?
I mean, not totally. But, you know, I just feel like, you know, Poison Ivy is a character that we need in 2022. So, you know, the state of the world being what it is. So, yeah.
I wonder how many of the issues that are being sold to Poison Ivy are the same sort of stereotypical guys buying every single variant.
I don't know. Not me. I limit myself to one because I'm running out of room. So,
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Spinning it from comics a little bit though, just to go to the other things. There's not as much news this week versus last week with all the Warner chaos, but there was one thing is that so Aslov, the guy who's running the show now at Warner's Discovery, made this statement about how he's got like a 10-year plan for DC and how they're going to clean it up and all that. Apparently, Hamada, who is currently technically in charge of the DC division, was concerned to hear this because it conflicts directly with his own 10-year plan for DC, which was kind of starting to be enacted with these next couple of movies. So yeah, just happy chaos as always.
Someone was sharing around that there's talks about bringing in Berlanti as a Feige-esque shepherd, to which, cynically I go, I can't make it past 3 seasons of those silly shows, but at least those characters feel familiar enough, like
it's not an ideal solution.
It's not an ideal, but it's better than what we've had. But that still is not good enough. You know what I mean? Like dream bigger.
Yeah, part of the problem is even if they just kind of match Marvel now, that's not good enough because I'm sick of that now. So like,
that's what I mean. Like, sure, like at the end of the day, as a DC fan, I want movies that feature like the spirit of the character. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like the Batman is not a perfect, version of Batman, but it was still close enough that it was a worthwhile watch. Versus some of the other movies that we've gotten. So yes, if we can keep doing more of that, cool. I don't care. But I just feel like with Black Adam on the horizon, I don't feel that's the vibe going forward.
Yes, it's a chaotic time, and the Warner Discovery.
Hey, at least I still have Stargirl to get through. So, season 2.
You're getting at least a season 3 of that. Although, speaking of season 3s of shows on HBO Max, although that's actually on the CW, but it used to be streaming show first. Yep. Pennyworth, season 3 is coming in October. Now, not that anyone cares about Pennyworth, because I certainly don't. But what I do care about is the choice to change its title for season 3.
To what?
The title, I guess they were worried people wouldn't know what it was, so they have now changed the title to Pennyworth, the origin of Batman's butler.
Well, this is why we have problems, Warner Brothers. If you try to make everything Batman, this is the problem you get. Like, I don't know. I've never heard. I don't know anyone that's actually watched Pennyworth.
I watched the first episode for a review, but that was that. Like, I was billing it after that. What's next? Tompkins, the origin of Batman's doctor.
Yeah. Or, man, I'm running out of them. You mean Gordon, the origin of Batman's best friend? Fox, the origin of Batman's money guy.
I'd have said tech guy, but yeah, sure.
I mean, at this point, he's his money guy, right? Like,
sure, but traditionally, he's the tech guy. Wayne, the origin of Batman's parents. Although they're in Pennyworth actually, so they're already kind of
they don't go down a dark alley with mom wearing pearls. I'm good.
Oh, that's what it'll be called, Perils. The countdown to Crime Alley. That'll be the name.
God, don't give him ideas, Pete. Please don't give him ideas.
Oh dear. So there you go. That's the gist. We can get into the books. So Dark Crisis World Without a Justice League, Green Lantern issue 1, Philip K. Johnson writing with Fernando Blanco on the art. This is the John Stewart focused story in these ones.
So based off of the last one, which was not terrible, but also, not for me, not worth the cover price. Like these might just be fun in a trade one day. I got sucked in by the creative team, and
Yeah, because
I'm glad I did.
I'd kind of written these off, and you said you were definitely reading this one because of the team, and I checked what the team was, and I was like, okay, sure, I'll read it, fine.
Yeah.
But I did leave it till last, and kind of the way where if I was running out of time, I might have cut it. But
yeah,
I did get it in, and I'm still kind of mixed on it, in the sense that I think it's well written. I think the art's good, and I think what it's saying about John is interesting, and that his fantasy is that he is actually retired from the Corps, and he's brought his sister back to life, in a sense, and is living the quiet life, but he's kind of revered as the guy who saved everything and helped build what the Corps currently is.
Yeah, it's a world that doesn't need him, right? Like he's able to go do what he wants and be there for his family instead of gallivanting across the galaxy. And I really did like that sentiment, because that was so on the same lines of what I like in Action Comics that Johnson's doing, of telling the story of Superman and why he is needed, in a world like War World, and what his presence does there. And here it's similar, whereas Stewart's done everything he can. Now he gets to go be quiet until he is needed eventually. Which is really nice.
I still kind of was left at the end with kind of a feeling of like that was a tie-in. That was something that I didn't need. It didn't feel required in any way, shape, or form, and it's kind of a hard line to cross over into. This felt, even if it's not essential to understand the plot of the main story, obviously, but essential in the sense that I feel like I was so worthwhile and I had so much to what was going on that I am glad I read it. I'm kind of not quite reaching that line, so I'm a little like, it's solid, but at the same time, I'm not sure I felt like I needed it either. So it's kind of in a weird place.
I like these type of Green Lantern stories that talk about ideas over, so the last one that this reminded me of was the God of Light Darkseid War tie-in. That was Tom King and Doc Shaner, which is like one of my favorite single issues of all time. And this doesn't hit that levels, but just the whole concept of this guy that's so duty bound that, what does he want in life? And that's to, not have those duties calling to him, and him be at peace with that. It's really nice.
There's one moment early on that I did quite like when so it's his mother's explained to his little sister kind of what John does and stuff, but it's when she's explaining that unlike all the other Green Lanterns, he was always kind of like, without knowing what it was, he was always kind of searching for that, because he always wanted something that would help him build. It really kind of focuses on his engineering and architecture kind of skills, which I appreciate. I like where that's brought into it a little bit, over just the guilt of the planet, because
which I'm relieved this wasn't that, because Zhanshi is not brought up once.
No, and we were joking last month that was probably what it was going to be. It was just that. Yeah,
so I was relieved, and then how he reforms the Corps. So in this story, he's on Earth, and that there's a battle for Oa, that the Guardians got killed, and he kind of rebuilds the Corps, and calls them the Watchtower.
Yeah.
And he becomes the new Guardian, and he is kind of like willpower personified. And so through that, the Corps kind of runs through him, and he's almost kind of like a legend, like almost like a breaking case of emergency. And so whatever these things that attacked before, what are they called? The Bright Revenant, something like that.
Yeah.
That they're overwhelming the Corps, and so they send out a distress call, and they bring him back in, and now he comes in as the Guardian. But he also reminded me of Steel a lot there, just because of the way the suit is with the cape, and he has a sword.
He also these villains are essentially Black Lanterns. Because he's at one point to say, "Oh, we've lost like 1,000 Green Lanterns," and he's like, "We'll get them all back." And I'm, "What do you mean get them all back?" And then the next page, I saw that there's kind of like a Black Lantern quality to like how it's like controlling all these like Thanagarians and stuff.
Yeah.
That's it. It's a kind of mega symbol that's on the big, because it's like a baby with bat wings. Is the best way to describe this central villain.
And it's dark too, which ties to the central themes of Dark Crisis, right?
Yeah.
Because remembering how in the main book in what is it, Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths now, they went through a Black Lantern, right, through the Black Lantern to Pariah's realm, to where Hal got sucked into this world, so it's just there's a lot of overlap there with the whole idea of the darkness and that being the overall threat that John's keeping at bay. So I do like the incidental ties there.
Yeah, and there's some nice art as he like fires through this baby bat thing, and the Green Lanterns all cheer and say "Hail, John Stewart," which feels a little bit. I know he didn't design this world, but it was designed for him, and he feels a bit egotistical. He's like his dream is that all the Green Lanterns like "Hail, John Stewart, you're my favorite."
Right. Which, and again, maybe when Hal shows up, that's a thing that breaks it for him. Like he always kind of knew it was off because of that. But yeah, I do enjoy the Black Mercy-esque qualities of these realms, especially for Superman. More so in the mains than the backups, because the backups seem tangential at best, whereas I just feel those are like one shots that are barely. Because like the Aquaman one was kind of just like a what if Aquaman was happy. Yeah, we'll talk about Hot Girl in a minute, but both the Superman and the John Stewart ones were very like Black Mercy, give the hero what they want to keep them at peace, so they're not interrupting.
Yeah, I think it's just a simple case of the backups only get like 8 pages to do what they're doing, and therefore there's not enough time. I do think the Hot Girl one does kind of at least establish like, okay, this is what she kind of wants, and secretly, and it does establish that by the end of it.
Yeah. Definitely.
There's not really much to the plot per se of this. It's just kind of like he gets a distress call, he goes out, he helps him fight, he wins, comes back. That's it. It's more about what the narration's saying about him that makes the issue than anything else.
Yeah, and then the Fernando Blanco art, just the colors pop, the way that the shadings hit with all the lighting from the Green Lantern, which is something I always look at in a Green Lantern book, because sometimes when the colors are too like there's not enough shadow, they don't pop as much, and it gives it like a 90s quality. Here, everything felt really textured and vibrant. So, but that should be expected.
Blanco's. It's honestly, it's like the mum and sister like sitting on the stairs, like talking to each other. Is like when I'm most impressed with Blanco in some cases, just because he does that kind of like low key, just drama, talking art really well. Not that he's
mundane.
Yeah, not that he's bad at the other stuff. Although I will say, I don't know if I like the design of John Stewart's outfit and his like Green Lantern look in this. It's a bit.
As I said, it's very Steel-esque. Yeah. I don't know why they went with that.
But yeah, otherwise the art's good though. It's just not really a drawing problem. And then the backup, it's Hot Girl. She's finding a tomb in the jungle. And it's all about getting to this artifact that will effectively end her immortality and her reincarnation cycle, because she wants to give away the burden of remembering all these past lives and just wants to live in the now, rather than knowing that her destiny is just to be killed and then reincarnated again.
Yeah, she says she's just a vessel, and she's tired of being just the vessel. She wants to be more. And I did like that. And Jeremy Adams is becoming one of my favorite writers that can do these little fill-ins, not even fill-ins, but like a backup one shot where he, impressed me with the Flash, telling that Wally story the way that he did. And here with Kendra, just kind of summarizing her kind of history. And we get to that page where we see all the different versions of Hot Girl. And I thought that was a really cool way of setting this one out different than like, again, the Aquaman one, where it was just kind of like, what if he was happy? Like you said here, it's what does she want? And she wants to live now and not be just a vessel for reincarnation, which is nice.
Yeah, Jack Harpus on the art, and the art's actually pretty good, I thought. Like all the shadows of the tomb, and like the her coming in with a torch and seeing the people on the spikes and stuff. There's a nice inky quality to the art that I appreciate.
And yeah, as an Indiana Jones fan, that the opening is definitely an homage to the opening of Raiders, right? With the two guys that she's like, oh yeah, they're gonna betray me. I know it, But yeah, and then she gets she drinks from the what was it, the vase of mortality.
Yeah.
And these skeletons come to life, and I thought that was really fun. That was like a real fun.
Yeah, it's very pulpish. It's to cynically looking at it, it's like just so you can have a little action scene at the end before it finishes, but it's fun enough. Then the last page, as she walks off happy, Pariah like comes out of the shadows and starts laughing maniacally.
Yeah. I mean, his plan is working. You give the heroes what they want and they stay out of the way. But, I'm still not 100% clear on his plan on, why he has to trap them on these worlds to create infinite, for the great darkness. I'm sure all will be revealed. But him laughing like a maniac like this was a fun touch.
Well, he's not doing that for the great darkness, though. He's doing that because he wants to rebuild a new multiverse. So these are going to be his worlds.
Right, but again, why Pariah's ultimate goal? I know he wants to bring his stuff back, right? But like him laughing like a maniac like this, that's definitely mad scientist vibes.
Oh, so sure.
It wouldn't surprise me if the Great Darkness is at play still. Almost like building them up, but just so they can be taken out. Give them the ultimate. But yeah, but no, this one was. I'm glad I picked this one up. Between both stories, I was dreading the hot girl one a little bit, but when it ended up becoming like this action adventure temple thing, I was like, oh, this is exactly my speed. And then when it had to say, because over the course of the last couple of years, I've really been drawn to the Hawks, and I feel that was Robert Venditti's fault in the Hawkman book that I love so much. But just revisiting those older series and the whole cycle of rebirth and, and the origin changes and all of that, this was a kind of a nice comment on the Hawk history.
All right, what are you giving World Without a Justice League Green Lantern?
Are we breaking it up or just the whole book?
You can break it up, yeah.
All right, so the first story I'll give a 7.52, and the backstory I'll give a 7.2. Overall, I'll give it a 7.5.
Yeah, I think I'll just go 7 on both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, straight 7 for me.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. That's Dark Crisis, World Without a Justice League Green Lantern. The only thing I will say is that it's not really done anything to make me think that I'm going to want to read the rest of them necessarily. So case by case.
Yeah, it'll definitely be creative team driven. Like if we get another good creative team, I'll check it out. But yeah, I'm gonna be hesitant going forward.
Yeah. It's Wonder Woman next anyway, so we'll see what that brings next month. So yeah, Superman, Son of Kal-El, issue 14. Tom Taylor writing, Cian Tormey on the art. So last month's issue was a bit of a, I don't want to say dud, but it was definitely a weaker issue. And I definitely enjoyed the plot of this one a lot more. I think it was, it's gearing up for this fight in Gamora. And outside of the very ending of the issue, which kind of taps into the one plot point that I've not liked in the book, in this arc as a whole, I generally enjoyed this a lot more than I did last month. It's kind of back to what I enjoy. I think not having half the issue be a dream sequence and having Tormey back on art has helped a lot.
And just the dynamics between all the characters, between John and oh God, what's his name?
Jay.
Jay, there we go, Nakamura. Just their whole little thing, and then Lois and all of that. I really enjoy all of that stuff. So just this the entire front half of this, which is John being worried about Jay because he's got to get into the superhero-y now. He's just not commenting on stuff, is the truth. I really like that.
Yeah, he gets an outfit. John's got an outfit for him in the fortress because he needs to like sort of maintain his identity as when he's fighting. The issue starts with Lois kind of spilling the truth about what Bendis is up to, and Bendis responds by having like a force field dome go over the city, or over the country, I should say. And it's the issue's kind of like, okay, what do we do? So we end up with the revolutionaries and sort of coming up with a plan. There's a bit of tension because like some of them want to kill Bendis because he's directly behind giving some of them powers, which would be fine if it didn't involve experimentation and torture and imprisonment and all that other stuff that he was doing.
Yeah, like again, it's that meme from Falcon and Winter Soldier. Osita's out of line, but she's right. Like he should kill him, but Superman. Superman's not going to allow that. So I did like that. Yeah.
And obviously this ties into Taylor's Suicide Squad, which it was making me nostalgic for that. I was kind of wanting that back. I was like, I'm enjoying this book, but I like the Suicide Squad a bit more. So it's
for sure. But this shares some themes overall. I mean, just the way he's creating new characters. Like like Jay and this new, like, if the cover's to be believed, Gossamer is going to be the code name, or his superhero identity, which is really cool.
It never came up in the issue. That was funny, actually, because in the cover, it says, and now Gossamer. And I'm only assuming we're pronouncing that right. I'm not entirely convinced.
I'm pretty sure because it's like a light, like I think Gossamer is like I've heard the phrase a Gossamer thread, So, but yeah, just I like these, like you bringing up the Suicide Squad themes carrying over to here, and just them showing up and being in the sub, seeing Zebra Man again was pretty cool.
Sure,
in his force field. So,
and then of course the surprise of the issue is that Damien shows up and is like, "You're going to go into like a country and attack without me, are you?"
Yeah.
And John's happy to see him, and there's some interesting banter with him there,
how did he get in there?
And that's
it's a sub.
And what's interesting is Damien sort of like backing John up when it comes to the killing stuff is an interesting little touch.
Yeah.
Just because given his past and the idea that he is going to stand by John in this debate is quite nice.
Yeah.
It shows their friendship again. The back half of the issue, of course, is that John drops Jay into the city. He obviously can go through the force field because he's power. But there's this interesting caveat where he can use the Legion flight ring that John gave him when he's corporeal, but when he's incorporeal, it won't work. So.
Right.
It's just an interesting not risk reward, but like an interesting mechanic that he can only do certain things when he's in one state or the other.
Right.
I thought that was cool. So he fights his way in. He gets to the control room, but there's like tons and tons of buttons, and he's like, "Oh, what do you press?" So he basically just makes a speech to the people in there, saying, "Hey, we're going to try and take the country back and get rid of the dictator. Anyone fancy helping?" Basically, and one of them presses the button and says, "Take him out" or something to that effect.
It's real nice.
So it's a nice moment. And we get this glorious big page as the revolutionaries and John come in to attack, and John picks up a summary in the background of a 2-page spread as the revolutionaries are kicking ass all over a ship. So fun action sequences. But then the end of the issue is that just as they're dealing stuff in the lab, John comes rushing in, and the main weapon that Bendis has got ready to fight them is a very heavily modified and mutated version of Jay's mother, who's just got claws now, and her like bottom jaw is like a
monstrous.
I was almost fishy. Like I'm getting like it looks like something Aquaman might fight. I guess is what I'm saying.
Like an anglerfish, the ones that are down at the bottom of the ocean. Yeah.
I mean, like I've not been a fan of the whole like his mother is connected and is in the country and was the former president. I've never really liked that part of the story. None of us really did. But I think this isn't really that part of that problem though. This is just kind of like it's making me think of it. But for the most part, it's like okay, big cliffhanger, big fight to have next issue. That's cool. No, I thought this was back on form. I was enjoying the progression. I was enjoying the characters bouncing off of each other. And I was enjoying kind of things escalating as Bendix is getting cocky and be like, this doesn't even matter that the truth's out. Like people are still going to want our weapons. They're still going to be buyers. We're still going to make lots of money, kind of thing. So I enjoyed all that side of things.
I still like the idea that Bendix is a 2-bit Luthor. This one needs Luthor's help, right?
Yeah, there's a moment where like they say, why can't you just go on yourself? You're Superman. And he says, nah, Bendix will have thought of that. And if he hasn't, then Lex Luthor definitely has. And I was like, okay, that's an interesting little way of phrasing that. I like that.
Yeah, I like that aspect. And Tormey's art's pretty good. It's been consistent.
I'm not in love with it. Like, it's kind of dependable art. It's definitely better than what we had last month. Last month was a bit of a sketchy fill-in. Not necessarily literally, but I mean, it's depending on the art. A sketchy fill-in could be literal if they're too sketchy.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so yeah. No, I mean, I enjoyed the issue.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Are we giving it?
I'm gonna give this an 8.
Yeah, I think I'll go with a 7.5. I won't quite say it's great, but I did enjoy it. I'm liking again, the chemistry with the characters is the big thing. So there you go. Wonder Woman 790, Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad with Emanuela Lupacchino and Eduardo Pansica on the art. There's so many like names on that front page, the surnames under the logo. So this is wrapping up this arc. This is, dealing with Dr. Psycho. Last issue ended with Etta being kidnapped by Dr. Poison, and that is like resolved very quickly in this issue.
Too quickly for my liking, and I always hate the yes, but that was part of my plan.
Yeah, that was my big problem. It wasn't just that it was too quick. It was that Etta said, "No, I lured you into kidnapping me, and I was prepared for it." I'm like, what?
Since when is Etta Batman? All right. Yeah. No, I think this issue. I think I'm done with Wonder Woman for a minute, because this started up so good, and this was not a fulfilling ending to this arc, because there's so many ideas that I love that Conrad and Cloonan are playing with. It's just not like forming, and the ending's very interesting, but yeah, man, just the stuff with Dr. Calculus or Professor Calculus and Dr. Poison, and just man, everything just feels a little bit off. That said, everything with the dupe of Wonder Woman, and that really, I think, is the highlight of this issue for me. What was all that with the Dr. Psycho and Wonder Woman and her, and that whole interaction, I thought was really strong, and I wish more of the series was like that, but it hasn't been.
It starts off the issue with Calculus, who's kind of her captor, as it were, and she gets out of her binds, and like I said, like, I planned for you to capture me. Diana shows up, and Diana's like going to go after Psycho, whilst Etta's going to go and help Steve and Siegfried. So so she goes there, and she basically breaks out Siegfried. He's able to take out Dr. Poison. So again, that's also wrapped up very quickly in the very next scene after the first scene. And then Wonder Woman goes to Dr. Psycho. Sorry. Dr. Psycho. Yeah. I questioned myself there for some reason.
So many doctors and professors.
There's Poison, Calculus, Psycho. There's too many.
The idea that these evil establishment figures are what's in Diana's way, I think, is a great idea. It's just not executed unclumsily, if you will.
Yeah. So. Yeah, Wonder Woman comes in. She's going to obviously take out Psycho. He pours, milk in her face, or milk extra, I should say, and is upset that his punch was ineffective and actually hurt his hand. But ultimately, he tries to make a run for it. They end up fighting on the roof. He tries to get away, but it's actually the dupe Wonder Woman who jumps out the window to grab him, thinking she's protecting him, but which she is, but then like it becomes this thing where she's holding the magic crystal that he's been using, and he's trying to like take control of Wonder Woman telepathically, and it's failing, but Wonder Woman instead talks to the dupe and convinces her of the right thing to do, that she shouldn't be held captive, and the dupe drops the crystal ball and smashes it. And then when Psycho tries to telepathically blast Wonder Woman, the dupe jumps in to take the hit, and she shatters. Yeah. So it's kind of this tragic ending of this copy that has been sympathetic and has been under his control, kind of fighting back and giving her life to save Wonder Woman. There's some nice ideas there.
Yeah, I really was moved by that. The fact, again, but that's when Wonder Woman works the best for me, is when, Wonder Woman's, convincing someone that was on the wrong side that, like, hey, you have agency. Hey, he's treating you badly. And then when she makes the right choice, it costs. And so, I was really moved by that.
Yeah. And then there's a sort of sting page that reveals that the person who's behind the milk extra is Hera?
Yeah. This is where I would love Connor and his, knowledge of Greek mythology to be in that, of course, Hera is using toxic masculinity to further her own goals, and how that would work in with the legends, but I don't know Greek mythology like he does. So.
Is Hera producing this milk from her own teat?
And maybe it is mother's milk. I don't know.
I'm just imagining her leaning over a bottle and squeezing some out in there, and it's got these magical properties that are, heightening masculinity and toxicity and stuff. And I don't know.
And of course, she's always hated Diana, right? So of course she'd be putting together this group to, put her. And it makes me wonder who her two, helpers are.
Yeah, because this is all in shadow. Gods. There's like two figures behind her, like in shadow, and So, but they're at the factory where all the milk's being produced. And then the end of the issue is the reveal that Diana is going to go back to having her human persona for a bit, Diana Prince, and she's in like civvies. Although notably with the kind of Indiana Jones style looking belt, I noticed.
Yeah, so I think this is a callback to in the 70s where she stopped being Wonder Woman and was just Diana Prince, and she wore like a pantsuit because that's what this felt like. So, I mean, cool, paying homage, but yeah, we've done this dance so many times where she decides she wants her alter ego, and then it lasts for like 6 issues, and then she's just back to being Wonder Woman, which is fine. That's comics in a nutshell. But since I've been reading comics since about 03, 04, it's like the 5th time we've been reintroduced to Diana Prince. So I think
to be fair, I don't think this is implying she's given up Wonder Woman and just going to be Diana Prince, because it says for this next operation you can call me Diana Prince. So that to me says there's a reason for it, and it's it's not, there's no intention here for her to, she doesn't have to like make a choice to go back to being Wonder Woman later. She just it'll just happen naturally because it's supposed to. But the back half of the issue is okay. The first half of the issue felt like it was just like quickly undoing everything it did in the previous issue, which wasn't a good issue and was very messy in and of itself. So it just kind of felt like we could have made this much simpler and it would have probably been all the better for it. But I don't think either of us read the backup.
No, I haven't been reading it. So I will say the art, Lupacchino and Pansica, their art styles complement each other. Although Lupacchino's is a little bit softer edges on things, so that's how you could tell. But yeah, it wasn't distracting at all. And Lupacchino is one of my favorite artists for Wonder Woman. Well, one of my favorite artists in general. But her work on Wonder Woman's always been strong. And here it's been decent. But yeah, that's just the comment there. I really like the art on the dupe. Those cracks always, gave her a creepy edge, right? So, they came together.
Yeah, no, art's a little inconsistent because obviously it's two artists, but it's pretty strong and standard throughout. So I can't complain too much. It's kind of a mixed bag of an issue because I really was kind of rolling my eyes a little bit during the first half, and then the back half had a decent enough conclusion to what's been going on, but it did feel like it never like climbed to feeling bigger than it felt like it was going to become. Like early on when it was teasing all this Dr. Psycho stuff, it felt like it was going to escalate, and I don't think it ever really did. Maybe that's because the person behind the milk has now been revealed, and we're going to still do a plot with that after. But so maybe a little underwhelming is, I guess what I'm trying to say. All right, what are you giving Wonder Woman 790?
I'm at 6.5.
Yeah, I'll just go with a straight 6, I think.
There you
go. No mince words about it. All right. Batgirls issue 9, Becky, Cloonan, and Michael Conrad writing. There's those pair again, and Neil Googe on the art this issue. So this is we're kind of into a new arc, and if you remember during the first arc, there was like a sort of running like subplot of there a serial killer in the area, and Steph was convinced it was this old neighbor. Well, that's kind of becoming the main plot now. And once again, I'll say that much like the last two issues, it is a better book now that it's more focused. The third person narration is still a bit of a pet peeve, but other than that, I did quite enjoy this issue and have very little to complain about. The art change obviously is a little. I do wish it was Rodriguez back again, but Googe does a fine job. It's nice and cartoony. It kind of fits better here than when I've seen him do certain other books. So that's good. So the old man that Steph's been spying on, we see him like zipping up a bag, and it's like an arm sticking out of it, and like you can see like an eye, like like part of a person's face, and it's like, oh, he is the killer. But no, then it's revealed later when they find the bag that it's actually just like mannequin arms and heads and stuff. Like it's not actually a body.
I mean, that's less creepy, but not much.
Well,
Right?
he's got a doll in the
that's-
corner of this panel, so I assume this is just what he does. It's like he's either his job or his
Yeah.
hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mannequin parts. Still
I mean,
creepy.
yeah, it's a bit creepy, but you know, it's what it is.
Yeah.
Cass is like hanging out in a bookstore. She's like reading now because she's obviously learned English quite well, so she's reading some Edgar Allan Poe, and
Ooh.
Steph's sunbathing on the roof, but she's also doing that so she can spy on the neighbor who's across the alleyway. The one that she suspects of being a serial killer, not because she's being pervy. Just I'll make that clear.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got a job for the night though. They've got someone to go and encounter. Babs has lured someone into a trap. It turns out to be KG and there's a lot of references here to him. You know, hurting Nightwing. So Cass at one point kicks him in the face and says, "This is for Nightwing." Then it's just a fun little fight. It's kind of nice that they're basically jobbing him out and making it look a chump. Oracle hacks his the tech that he's got in his mask at one point, and it's kind of represented with her like sort of doing the na 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 kind of face at him and stuff. It's kind of playful. And then Cass German suplexes KG Beast. He goes directly.
No, she's been watching some Kurt Angle.
Yeah, she takes him straight to Suplex City. So it's a fun fight scene where he just gets his ass whipped pretty much. But there's a sort of weird moment at the end. So they win the fight, right, and they tie him up. But something flies past Steph when she's on the rooftop, and she stumbles off, and it's sort of a comedy pratfall into the dumpster. And like Cass just sort of turns in silhouette, looking at her as she falls into this dumpster. And she's climbing her way out, but she gets kind of excited because she realizes that she's in the dumpster that the old man she suspects is a serial killer has been put in his trash. And she's like, "Oh, there's some old letters. We could find something out about him from this." And she starts like going through stuff, and she finds the bag of body parts. And she's like, "Look, a leg! I found a leg!" And Cass is like, "It's a wooden leg." And it's like, "Wait, what? Damn it! I thought there'd be some clue." And then the twist of the issue is they find the dead guy. Like the old man is dead. He's actually been a victim of the killer, and he's lying stabbed behind all the trash. And so there's a bit of a crime scene moment where they're looking into it. One of his eyes has been replaced with a fake eye, so Cass removes that before the police come. Steph removes that, and she's got the green on her face that she's going to throw up, but she's doing it. So very fun and playful. I really enjoy the art here actually, because there's a panel where Cass is she's kind of doing the sort of thinking face, that Batman does sometimes with the hand on the chin. But the artist actually got the one eye like open quite wide as the other one's shut, as if she's got her eyebrow up. But obviously she's still got her mask on though, so it's got this kind of cool look to it. So yeah, it's fun stuff. I think when a good artist draws Cass with her mask on, it's always quite effective and entertaining because you get like the expressions coming through this otherwise blank mask. So Montoya shows up to the crime scene, Commissioner Montoya that is, and the Batgirls retreat back to the base, and Steph is feeling a little bit guilty because she was so convinced the old man was a killer, and that she feels responsible that he's now turned up dead, because instead of like protecting him, she was thinking it was him. And Babs is like, no, that's not your fault. Like, those two things aren't connected. Babs investigates this fake eyeball. It opens up, and there's a note inside, and it turns out to be a cipher. So we have a very, Seven Zodiac style serial killer in this otherwise very fun, lighthearted, pulpy book, which is an interesting sort of thing. And they sort of realize, wait a minute, does this mean the killer's been leaving clues at all the crime scenes? And they go, well, we don't know, because like the police are kind of like keeping tight-lipped in what they're finding. So maybe Babs will hack into the Gotham Police Department and find out what they've got. The end of the issue though is revealing what flew past Steph earlier on, and it turns out to be Killer Moth, who is watching from a nearby rooftop. So yeah, fun little ending. Setting up Killer Moth as a guest villain or character in this arc, and all the serial killer investigation stuff is a lot of fun. I actually really enjoyed this issue. And I think Googe's art, well, I don't always like it. I remember he did an issue of Flash early on in Rebirth that I thought was really, it didn't work for the character. His head was kind of wonky.
Mm-hmm.
Here, his cartoony style actually fits the tone of the book, and I thought that it actually lent itself to all the kind of the, you know, the over the top expressions that the characters make, and just how you kind of like endear yourself to them is helped with this art. It's not my favorite art the book's had. I still go back to the original artist, which unfortunately is the worst arc of the book because it was too overstuffed. But this art does work here quite well. So yeah, I'll probably give this a solid 8. I think Batgirls has improved since its first arc is finished. I would take out some of the witty third person narration, you know, which early on, because on the credits page, for example, it does the it does this thing where it says these girls are cool, and Joe who else is cool, and it sort of lists like some of the creators that they're also cool, kind of thing. And it's like, okay, all right, you're being cute, and I could do without that. Luckily, it's not constantly there. It's only on like maybe 3 pages of the book, you know, maybe 4. Rest of it is it does without. But yeah. So there you go. As Batgirls, issue what were we on? 9. Yeah. 8 out of 10.
Yep, 9.
Really enjoyed it. So there you go.
Yeah.
Next up, Naomi, season 2, issue 6. Brian Michael Bendis and David F. Walker writing, with Jamal Campbell on the art, as it has been for the whole book.
Yep.
So Naomi got knocked out end of the last issue, pretty much after an issue that was almost entirely just a big fight scene. And then the rest of these villains want to finish her off. There's a lot of scenes building up to them doing this, with them talking about it, and the nearby crowd getting worried, and someone from, you know, her aunt, basically her parents' friend from her home world, is talking to her via like technology or something, you know, almost telepathically in a sense, but it's not really telepathy. Saying, Naomi, you've got another you've got another power, right? It's gearing up, like use it. And so when one of the big villains is going to attack her with their big sword, Naomi sort of blasts her with this force field that's kind of, it didn't really feel like that much of a different power, to be honest. The only power that feels new in this is when she kind of makes a portal to her own world, which she can seemingly do now, as much as she wants.
So I feel like her powers are all about energy redistribution. So this is almost like she had leveled up, in that like she could take the oncoming attack, right, and redistribute it across, which is fine. I just, man, this book is so up and down. So just constant new stuff throughout on here, and like I was just missing some of the personal moments. Like again, we get introduced to her aunt kind of character. I kind of wanted more with that, and less on the supervillain fight.
Yeah, a lot of this issue is the fight again still, which is kind of disappointing. At least it does have this extra context of someone talking to her through it to give it a little bit more structure. So I didn't dislike it as much as the fight in the last issue, but it does take up a lot of this issue.
Yeah, and that's my whole thing. Is like, well, we just had an issue where we had a lot of fights with the villains, and then here where it's just showing, oh, look how powerful she is still. And I was like, okay, goodness, we get it, man. Like she's a powerhouse, but like, what about this lady that reached out to her? You know,
well,
like, what about...
I don't mind her like being a power. Like my fix to this isn't like making her less powerful. My fix to this is having her just do the thing that wins immediately as soon as the aunt talks to her. And then, but we don't. We have her fighting them for like several more pages. That's the problem.
That's my point. Is like he's so Bendis wants to show off. Like, look how cool she is. Look at her powers. And it's like, yeah, man, I get it, cool. But like, he created such a like a good like group of characters around Naomi, but he just seems to be more interested in showcasing Naomi. And like, I get it, that's her book, but to me, that's not what's interesting. It's, you know, like again, this person from her world where we thought like all the heroes were gone. Well, no, they were just in hiding. And you know, this one that reaches out to her, I do like that because it's another adult for her to you know learn from. That's not her parents or Superman or anything. And yeah, but she can redistribute power, so that's cool, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the last few pages of the book are basically her saying goodbye to her friend. It's kind of emotional, and that's more of the stuff that we would want. Her saying goodbye to her parents, because she's going to go off and try and fix her own world. Yeah, D shows up just before she goes and gives her his big sword as a present.
His axe, which I don't know if I'd want to wield the Thangorian death axe. You know, like I don't know, it's pretty hefty weapon, but she looks cool carrying it. The stuff with Naomi and her friend Annabelle, where she's talking about how her therapist won't see her anymore, and Annabelle's like, "Well, no, that's sucky." And she's like, "Well, no, I get it. You know, she's scared. Like everyone is. Like it's a lot." And again, that's the perspective that I like. That you know, this was a quiet little town in Oregon, and now they have superheroes and villains showing up and wrecking shop. And how did people react to that? So yeah, those little tidbits in there work out really well. I did roll my eyes when the entire DC universe shows up at the end there.
Yeah,
you know?
it's the Justice League plus Young Justice plus a few others.
Yeah, it's almost like Naomi, here's your life. Every character you've ever interacted with. Which, again, if it was the Justice League showing up or like Superman, because there are these major supervillains just popping in that they faced, you know, or Young Justice comes in to check on her. But all of them there at the end was just almost like, was this just Jamal Campbell wanting to draw?
It was a little bit heavy-handed as well.
Yeah.
I'd say it was heavy-handed. Yeah, like because the ending is her going into her home world to help try and fix it, and she's obviously going to come back. This is not goodbye forever, but it kind of like winks at the reader almost and says, "Is this the end? Is this the end of Naomi's story?" And I feel like that's like Bendis hoping he'll get to do another arc, but I'm not so sure if he will. To be honest, they kind of. I think the cancellation of the TV show, like right before this came out, or maybe during it was coming out, I can't remember exactly when that happened. Plus the fact that it's not selling particularly well, and that Bendis like, I feel like they're using Bendis less. You know, like his number of books is kind of dwindling, and maybe they've got a bunch to announce with him in the near future. I don't know, but it does kind of feel like his tenure at DC might be winding down.
It also feels like he's a little bit out of steam. Like, as he's been going, like, he came out swinging hard. Like, we really enjoyed the first Naomi series and a lot of his Superman. But then just, like, his Justice League and his Legion, and it just diminishing returns, I guess. Checkmate, all this other stuff. It just, you know, maybe he just needs a break. Maybe he needs to work on his creator-owned stuff. You know? I don't know. But I was definitely feeling it in this issue, for sure. But if this is his, you know, almost like his send-off, it's almost like he's sending off a kid to college, you know. That sentiment worked real well, you know, in a meta sense. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I really liked the first season of Naomi, which is why it's a shame that I think this season has been a bit up and down, and especially since the down has been the last two issues, because that means the ending's kind of unsatisfying.
Yeah.
So, it's a shame. I feel like the Bendis magic, because you know some people always hated Bendis. I actually think Bendis used to be really good, and I feel like there has been this decline in his quality gradually over a fair bit of time. You know, I think if you go back to when he was doing Daredevil and he was doing New Avengers and he had all these books that were critically acclaimed, were doing well, and they were super fun to read. Ultimate Spider-Man's the other one, actually. I can't forget that. But I don't know if obviously we liked a lot of his Superman stuff, not all of it, but a lot of it was good. In the late season one of Naomi, I feel like everything else he's done has been kind of wonky, which is a shame.
Again, it's been a lot like this series. His tenure at DC has been real up and down. It's been a real roller coaster. And I know he's had health issues, and I don't know how much that's impacted his writing style or whatever, but it definitely feels like his those, like you said, those Daredevil, that era of Bendis is long gone. But maybe he can recapture it. I don't know. But as far as DC is concerned, I get why they're pumping the brakes a little bit. I don't know. Maybe he has something. I really liked he created that one character, the cowgirl. I'm drawing a blank on her name.
Jenny Hex.
Jenny Hex. Yeah. There was some promise there. Like there was these little tidbits that we didn't get to, and that's kind of a shame.
Yeah, sadly that book never. Yeah, it kind of felt like the arcs that we got in that book were meant to be kind of the early adventures before we get down to the real serious story stuff, but then the book got cancelled before we did any of that, so it just kind of felt a little bit I wouldn't say worthless, but it kind of felt like it by the end, like, oh, you didn't really tell any story here. Like, there was nothing to really latch on to, so yeah, it's a shame that we feel this way now, because we are not someone who were dreading Bendis when he was coming.
I was excited, and I still believe, like, a lot of that Superman run was good. I mean, it gave us the, him giving up the Clark Kent identity and just being Superman, and that was huge. It also gave us John in his current form, because he got aged up, and so many people were upset about that, but I really feel like it's worked out, and that story, what it's done for Superman, has really added to the character. So yeah, no, it's not all Bendis bad, like Connor. Right, he refused to read anything with Bendis' name on it. But you can't sit there and blindly defend him either, because it has been. I've read the majority of his stuff. Like Bendis' Legion was so missed with me that I stopped reading Legion, and I love the Legion. So if it just wasn't adding up to the sum of what I thought it should, so.
Yeah, I stopped reading that. I stopped reading his Justice League. I stopped reading the Checkmate book. I stopped I've stopped more of his books now than DC than I stuck with. Yeah. So, hey, but there you go. That is Naomi. Did we rate it? You want to rate it?
No. Yeah, I'll give it a 7. Art's still fantastic. Campbell's still great.
Yeah, I think it'll be a 6. To be honest, I think it's just over the line because the art is good and there's a couple of nice emotional beats towards the end and stuff. But the fight really did. It just felt like more of the same for like half the issue, which is a shame. Maybe even more than half, to be honest, if I was really going to count pages. So that is Naomi season 2, issue 6. DCeased, War of the Undead Gods, issue 1. Tom Taylor writing, Trevor Hairsine on art. This is the 8-issue miniseries. It is meant to be the final in the DCeased saga, which is interesting because I kind of already thought it was done for a long time because they found a cure and they were curing people. Which does lead to some interesting moments in this. It starts off with the slightly different version of Supergirl's origin in this universe, where she actually isn't sent to Earth, she's sent to New Genesis instead.
And because Brainiac is bottling up Kandor, and Zor-El and Allura send her off before Krypton's destruction.
Yeah, it's Brainiac who's destroying Krypton here instead of the typical. So, but when she arrives there, we find that the new gods are already zombies. So it's like, oh dear, she might be screwed, and obviously it's setting up some plot threads for later. But yeah, then we come back to our main characters from DCeased: Damien, who's Batman; John, who's Superman; and Cass, who's Wonder Woman, and basically the superpowered characters who can go. And there was some funny dialogue here actually about Damien wanting to go, and John being like, "It's space, Damien. I'm Batman. It's the center of the sun. I'm Batman."
So it's all stuff that I feel like has been earned because of their relationship, right? Like it's all tongue in cheek, and given that though, technology's there, Damien's going.
Oh yeah,
right. So I did like that, but yeah, they have to go to the sun because that's where zombie Superman has been residing.
Just one final point in the dialogue here is, Damien says, "If anything happens to you, I will come after you," and Cass says, "I believe you because you're Batman." I thought that was a nice because Batman.
It was, again, earned, right? Like it's all set up.
So basically they're going to get Superman, who's in the sun, and it's a bit of a fight. Superman obviously grabs John. He's missing the arm still. It takes all of these superpowered characters. Mary Marvel's there, Green Canary, Cyborg's there. All of them have to come together to give the cure to Superman. But sure enough, on Earth 2, as the Green Lanterns are talking to Lois, the boom tube opens, you think, oh, we started with new gods, maybe this is like some stuff, but it's no, it's just our characters because they're using boom tubes to travel around,
right?
And Clark, now with a steel Winter Soldier-esque arm,
Yeah.
is back here to talk to Lois and his parents, and it's this emotional reunion. So is Pa Kent's back as well because he died originally.
Oh man, the mom Pa Kent stuff where she's like, "I hit you with a shovel."
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
Barda and Mr. Miracle are going back to New Genesis, although I'm sure they're going to find that things have changed a little bit since they left.
Yeah. So they're talking about their son too, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like that he exists in this universe.
And then the gut punch of the issue comes where now that Alfred's seen there's a cure and that Superman's come back, Pa Kent's come back, he's feeling guilty because he kind of killed a lot of the Bat family by shooting them in the head.
Yeah.
And he's feeling like, no, I did this. I killed my sons, is what he says, which is,
Yeah, poor Alfred.
Tom Taylor knows how to get you feeling things with Alfred. It's just something he's proven to be very good at.
Yeah.
But the actual plot setup of the book is that a bunch of Brainiac drones are coming towards the planet. Jess is up there, Jessica Cruz that is, and warns everyone else. The Supermen come up. They smash them all, but the Brainiac ship is coming. But the big twist of this, though, is that Brainiac isn't coming to, take the planet. He's not here to do his usual, bottling antics. He's greatly injured. He's greatly injured when they get on board and says, they're coming, we have to stop them, the gods are dead. So he's actually there to warn them. That's how bad it is. He's warning them that the new gods are zombies and that they're on their way to Earth 2. So, yeah, pretty solid, exciting way. You sell a threat by having someone who's a villain kind of come to the heroes to warn them or ask for help. That's how you sell how big the threat is.
Yeah, and not just like he's in pieces. Like he's hanging on by a thread too. So he barely just got out of there. And we know Brainiac's pretty formidable on his own. So yeah. So when this was announced that the title were the Undead Gods, I was really thinking like, the new gods, and then zombified Superman coming out of the sun, and that type of stuff. And the fact that they healed Superman, they cured him so quickly into this book, it really threw me for a loop in a good way, because now I have zero clue what's going to happen in this book. Like, and I like that uncertainty.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many possibilities going forward as to what this story is actually going to be now, other than that it's the zombie new gods that are coming,
right?
Does the cure not work in them? Is that why it's going to be such a tough fight, or does it work but it's really hard to administer it? So like, how do they deal with it? I'm curious.
If it spread to them, can it spread to other gods, right? Because it's been mutated.
Yeah,
so but yeah,
it's an interesting setup. I think this issue, I'd say 2/3 of it are more about just kind of like setting up where the characters are now and kind of wrapping up the things that are still, getting Superman and curing him. Like, it's all these dangling threads that like you just assumed were going to happen. If we'd never gotten this, we'd assumed that they went and done this, but this is like, okay, we have to do this to start this book, and we're really just teasing what this is really going to be doing at the end of the issue. But it's an exciting cliffhanger. It feels like a big deal when it happens. And Taylor really knows how to, we talked about all the dialogue with Damien and John, but then Alfred talking to Damien, and all these other scenes where he gets the interactions with the characters down so well because he understands them all so well. And it's something, and it made me realize, actually, when was the last issue of Knights of Steel? I feel like that's been ages since we had one of those.
Yeah, someone I follow on Twitter said the same thing. Like, it's been a while. So.
Oh, wait, and the artist, I guess. I don't know.
Couple months, maybe May.
Yeah, it's been a while. It just occurred to me that Taylor did have that as well, and it's not finished yet. So.
Yeah. Man, there's so many alternate realities going through right now. With the vampires, and now this, and the Dark Knights of Steel, and my brain's overlapping them all.
Dinosaurs, mechs. We got it all. We got tons of.
Those two I'm not going to confuse as easy though, right? Because those stand out. But like some of the stuff with the vampires, when I was thinking about the Supergirl thread here, then I was like, well, wait, she's also going to the middle. No, that's vampires, where she has to get to Australia. And then I was like, wait, but they had to get to Australia in Unkillables. So yeah, just trying to keep them all straight.
Yeah,
You know.
Trevor Hairsine, like I don't think his art's amazing. I think his faces are a bit, the heads have this kind of like sort of rectangle look to them for me that I'm
Okay.
not super into. Not that
The
it's
zombie
bad.
stuff looks great though.
Oh yeah, the zombie
Hairsine
stuff
doing
is
zombies looks great.
yeah, the zombie stuff is perfectly fine, and it's very solid enough overall. Like it's not bad art, but
No.
but it's also not art that I'm feeling like I want to praise either. Like I'm not in love with it.
Yeah, I do like his Winter Soldier Superman. I thought that looked pretty cool with the arm when he shows back up with it. So that was a nice design. But yeah, I want to disagree, but I really can't either because it's like you said, it's fine. It's nothing to like go over the moon for. But it does. But I will put it over for the zombies.
Yeah. All right, what are you giving DCeased War of the Undead Gods issue 1?
8.5.
Yeah, probably straight 8 from me, but yeah, good stuff. I'm glad it's back. I'm glad we're getting one last go round, and I can't wait to see who Tom Taylor decides to kill to make us all upset. But I'm sure there'll be a few.
No one's safe. This is the last part. No one is safe. So
yeah, and since we got Superman back, that means that someone else in the family has to die.
Yeah,
John's days are numbered.
Or Lois's. She's the president.
Or Lois. Yeah. Or maybe Man Pa Kent will both go and we'll see Pearls drop to the floor.
Oh no. Jonathan's like, here, I got you a present. Let's go for a walk. There's no dark alleys in Kansas.
Oh, they're not in Kansas anymore.
That's true, they're on Earth too. Oh no.
I wasn't trying to go for a Wizard of Oz reference, but it came out and it just sounded like one.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh dear. Anyway, there you go. That's War of the Undead Gods issue 1. Jurassic League issue 4, Juan Gedeon and Daniel Warren Johnson, with Juan doing the art again in this issue, which is notable because last issue we had a fill-in artist.
Yeah.
And it was it wasn't great. The art last issue. Yeah. So it's been a very simple story so far, and what's funny is that German suplexes are going around because the front cover of this issue is Green Torch giving a German suplex to Atrocitosaurus. Atrocitosaurus, whatever. I'm never going to remember all these names.
That's right. I got you.
Yeah. So basically, whatever's in the mysterious big egg actually consumes Black Mantisaur, or whatever he's being called, for life, and it basically confirms a couple of pages in who it is with the beams that come out. You're like, oh wait, okay, it's definitely Darkseid then.
It's got the Omega Sanction going.
Yeah.
So,
it actually spits out the trident after it eats Black Manta, and
this book is so silly.
Yeah, Aquanix like picks up. I was like, okay, you want to fight? All right, let's do it. But I was entertained by. Then we cut to Green Torch fighting Atrocitosaurus, and does a pretty decent job. And then Flash Raptor comes in, and it's like, okay, we have to figure out where Aquanix went. Meanwhile, Batsaur and Supersaur are together with Wonder Dawn, and they're discussing what their plan should be and what they should do. Batsaur grabs the lasso and makes Giganta talk. Where's your master? What's going on? And he still, he almost drops that he's looking for the killer of his parents, and the others kind of feel awkward about it. But Batsaur is determined to leave and go after the villain. He thinks that's the course of action, and he makes his with bones and something. He makes bat wings to glide on, and young human Robin comes with him, and he's sort of grown on him a little bit. But he's looking for Jokerzard, and he goes flying off, and Superstar and Wonder Dawn are left to try and help the humans fortify and go up this mountain to because it's a better defensible position. And we get a Pa Kent Superman father son pep talk scene about doing the right things and how he needs to go out and help everyone, not just them. He can't just stay and protect them forever.
Right.
So that it's doing a lot of really simple things, but it's all through this dinosaur lens.
Yeah. Oh, and then when the egg hatches, right? So it consumes Jokerzord and who else? Who's the other villain?
I trust her. No, Reverse Flash is whatever he was called.
Reverse Slash. And it consumes and the egg hatches and it's darkly aside.
Oh yeah, because Green Torch and Flash Raptor show up with these two knocked out villains, and Aquarix has already seen him consume Black Manta, so he's like, "Oh, you idiots! You brought him more food."
Yeah.
So sure enough, we get the giant breakout of Darkseid.
Yeah.
And we get this great 2-page spread. He's got. Do you know, it makes me think of Bowser more than anything else. He's like Bowser mixed with Darkseid.
Yeah. But just the name sent me. Just the dark Kylosaurus, like an Ankylosaurus. And just but he is very Bowser-esque.
It's not dark Glycosaurus. It's dark Lycosoid. Or Side. Dark Lycosoid.
I had a hard time reading it because a lot of them just mashed together. But yeah. He's got the club tail. But yeah, no, you're right. He is Bowser-esque in his dimensions. So
yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know what princess he's going to keep and keep at the top of his castle, but
there's plenty, I'm sure. But yeah, no, this book is just super silly. The art was definitely an improvement from last time, so that's good. I mean, the one Gedeon art is decent, and just although the moment though after the egg hatching is Bat Sword doing the wings and turning himself into a glider with Robin on top. It's just, again, it's so silly.
It was great to have him back on art. The final thing though is that Darkseid's first target is Themyscira. He's going after the other gods effectively. Yeah. I'm never going to remember all these like variations of the names.
I got you though. I told you. I got you.
But he's going after Themyscira. So I think that's interesting because Wonder Dawn up until now has felt kind of like she's along for the ride, but this will make it personal. You know that he's went after there. So because Superman's got humans to protect that he cares about. Batman's got his backstory with his dead parents. Wonder Dawn may have a dead mother after this, potentially, depending on how well this siege on Themyscira goes. But that's where the cliffhanger leaves us off. Very quick read, as most of these issues have been. But super fun, enjoyable, and kind of like just a nice slice of like light-hearted goofiness, really. But I've enjoyed it by and large, and I enjoyed this issue. Yeah.
You want me to rate?
I guess so. I guess there's not much more to add. I mean, it's a quick read, but it's also a quick discussion because I don't know if there's a super amount of things that I want to bring up about this issue, but. But no, it was a fun time.
Yeah. Cool. I'm gonna give it an 8.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with 8. I think I'll agree with 8 on this one. So there you go. But yeah, that's actually the last book. So a quicker show this week. We got through the books in a timely fashion. Weird. I won't let it happen again. I'll add a segment next week. If no, next week's going to have solicits. Next week's going to be huge on its own.
Next week's solicits, and there's quite a few books.
So yeah, coming up right now. I was almost skipping a part of the show there. This is the part of the show where we pick our favorite stuff of the week, favorite panel / moment, favorite cover, favorite art, and top 5 books of the week. So, what was your panel / moment, Matt?
Man, it's really hard not to go something from Jurassic League. Let me think, because there was a bunch of them in there. DCeased had some good ones. Superman. Yeah, I'll go from Jurassic League, and it's gonna be Bat Sword with the wings, because that was just so funny to me.
Okay. What do I want? I don't have a quick answer for you here. I think I'm going to go with Batgirls, actually. I think I'm going to go with them finding the dead body and kind of the investigation kind of stuff that comes after. It's probably the scene I enjoyed the most this week, actually. So, that's what I'm going with. All right, what's your cover of the week, Matt?
It's the variant of Superman, son of Kal-El. Let me get the name up because I forgot it. But it's got a young John pulling like a kite out of the tree. And he's flying up, but It's the Rafael Sarmiento variant, but notably Goldie's there. So it's pre, the tragedy of Goldie. There's just this really nice painted looking cover and shows a young John, pulling a kite out of the tree using his powers, and Clark and Lois in the background. Looks real nice.
Yeah, I've got two choices here really. The regular Jurassic League cover with the German suplex is kind of wild, but I think I'm going to go with a variant for Batgirls, the Sweeney Boo variant, which is just Steph and Cass kind of like back to back. But some weeks there's like half a dozen that I can't pick between. This week was maybe a bit weaker in covers overall. But I'll go with that. So I guess Batgirl.
I mean, the main cover on that one's pretty funny too. It says Batgirl Summer, and Cass has goggles and a float ring on.
Yeah, rubber ring,
which is real funny.
Yeah. But yeah, there you go. All right, art of the week. What you got?
All right, so man, there was some pretty good art this week. I'm gonna give it to Blanco for the Green Lantern story, because nothing else. I mean, Campbell's good. Gedeon was decent, but I mean, it's Fernando Blanco, and that always just gets me. So
yeah, I like the Blanco art, but because I didn't like the design of the Green Lantern suit as much, I think it's maybe pulling it down a little bit for me. So I'm a little conflicted. I think I'm going to go with Gedeon for Jurassic League this week. It's fun, it's inventive, it's big and bold, and you can kind of feel the Saturday morning cartoon vibe that it's going for really well. So I'm going with that. All right, Matt, top 5 books of the week.
All right. So number 1's going to be DCeased. Number 2 is going to be Superman Son of Kal-El. Number 3 is Jurassic League. 4 is Green Lantern or the World Without the Justice League Green Lantern. And then 5 is going to be Naomi.
Okay. So I think for me, number 1 will be DCeased. Number 2 will be Batgirls. Number 3 will be Jurassic League. Number 4 will be Superman, Son of Kal-El. And number 5, this was it between one from Naomi and something else. Oh yeah, the Green Lantern book. I guess I'll go with Naomi in 5th place, but it.
There you go.
Oh no! I'll go with the Green Lantern book. I rate that higher. Yeah, it's Green Lantern. One shot in the 5th place. There you go.
Mine was just which one am I cutting out because I had 6.
Yeah, I had 7, so it
was very obvious.
Yeah. So there you go. I will tell you what is coming next week from DC Comics, from the Detective Comics company. So we got Nightwing issue 95 with a very inventive cover by the looks of it. We have Batman Superman World's Finest issue 6. We have Batman the Night issue 8. We have The Flash 785, Catwoman 46, Harley Quinn 20, Dark Crisis Young Justice issue 3, Batman One Bad Day The Riddler issue 1, so it'll be exciting to finally start those. And it's a hefty book, which makes my decision not to read that Young Justice miniseries easier. I'll read these Batman one-shots instead, because they seem more interesting. DC vs. Vampires All Out War issue 2 is out. Black Adam issue 3, Aquaman Flash Void Song issue 3, and Scooby-Doo Where Are You issue 117. So I think...
Is that a Yeti?
Oh god. I think we all decided we were out on All Out War, funnily enough.
Yep.
None of us liked that, sadly. But that's good though, because it means that we are more open for the Bat one-shots, and I'm looking forward to see what they do with Black Adam next week, and obviously Nightwing is always a exciting event, so...
I just hope there was enough pre-orders of this Riddler book that Garrett has to get that tattoo. That's all.
I feel like you would know by now.
Yeah, well, I know that I ordered mine before final order cut off. So, but yeah.
Okay. But there you go. Quicker show this week, but I will take this time to thank our Patreon producers. Thank you very much to Tyler Hess, Cindy Palacios, David Sharp, Bordenau, Christopher Moy, David Brown, Al Treisman, and Alison M. Fordyce. They are some of our higher tiered patrons over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, where you can go and support the show and all the content that we make on the various YouTube channels, as well as this podcast. But you get early access to this show at the $5 tier. You get it whenever it's ready on the Saturday, as opposed to waiting for the Sunday, if that's of interest. So go and have a look see. You can also like, subscribe, rate us on iTunes, 5 stars, all that stuff does help out a lot. But otherwise, that's us. Also get us on Twitter at DC Comics Podcast if you ever want to ask questions or just get updates on things. But that is the how's that? So there you go. But yeah, that'll about wrap up episode 118. So thank you very much for joining us. We always appreciate it. Keep reading DC Comics and remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.